Class 19. More options for Visarga. In this bonus lecture, I will give you another option to pronounce Visargas that are not at the end of the second and fourth quarters of a verse, because those are sacred and are always echoed. This option is especially favored by South Indian chanters, although I've heard it used by the scholars from other parts of India as well. In the course, we have learned that instead of echoing, you can optionally silence the Visargas coming in the middle of the text. Now, I will introduce you to the option number 2, which I call air blockers, and you will shortly understand why. This option strictly depends on the first consonant of the next word after the Visarga. And the first air blocker comes when the next word begins with P or P. Your Visarga in this case can optionally, if you don't decide to just silence it, turn into the soft F. This sound is technically called Upadmaniya, because actually the sound F is not recognized in Sanskrit as a sound of the alphabet. In the verse from the course, you see this situation right in the first word, Ishvara, because its Visarga is followed by the consonant P in the word Parama. So let us say these two words one after another, and we will transform the Visarga into F. Ishvaraf Paramah. Once again, Ishvaraf Paramah. Now, in Romanized Sanskrit, you'll never see this letter F written after the Visarga. I just wrote it to make things more visual for you. It is up to you, of course, to just say the Visarga using the option you learned in the course. Ishvara Paramah. Personally, myself, I like to exercise the option with the air blocker. Ishvara Paramah. Ishvara Paramah. Because it saves my breath. The sound F naturally blocks the outgoing air, or at least it considerably slows it down. And I have more air remaining in my lungs to continue reading or chanting before I need to take another breath. This is very important if you read or chant a long text or do it loudly. You need to manage your breath well to last longer. Anyway, the choice is yours. Now, air blocker number 2 comes when the next word begins with K or K. Your Visarga in this case can optionally turn into the sound called Jihvamuliya, and it is pronounced as H. This is the sound you hear in German language, in words like Achtung or Macht. In our verse, we see the chance for this air blocker in the second word, Parama, because what follows is K, the first sound of the word Krishna. And so I can say Paramah Krishna. Once again, Paramah Krishna. So, just as with our first air blocker, this one also blocks the outgoing air. You can notice that easily. Paramah Krishna. Paramah Krishna. Now let us remember our both air blockers in the first line. Ishvaraf Paramah Krishna. One more time. Ishvaraf Paramah Krishna. Okay, ready for the last air blocker? Here we go. If Visarga is followed by any of the sibilants or hissing sounds, and there are 3 of them in Sanskrit, sh, sh, and s, it can optionally turn into that sound. So as you can see, Visarga will change according to the type of sibilant that follows. In our illustration verse, we can use this air blocker in 2 places, where we have a sibilant sound following a Visarga. The first place is in the word Krishna, where the Visarga can turn to S because of the S in the following word, Satchidananda. So if we take the option, it will sound like a double S. Krishna Satchidananda. Once more. Krishna Satchidananda. And another place is in the word Govinda, because that Visarga is followed by the S in Sarva. So it will sound Govinda Sarva. One more time. Govinda Sarva. Now, every sibilant acts as an air blocker, maybe slightly less than the previous two, but still the airflow is much less than in a default echo or a silent release. Okay, so let's chant this beautiful verse from beginning with these air blockers. To see the effect fully, let's not stop at the end of the first quarter and go until the word Vigraha. So here we go. Ishvarah Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Please chant with me. Ishvarah Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. And now the second half. Anadiradir Govindas Sarvakarana Karanam. One more time. Anadiradir Govindas Sarvakarana Karanam. Now let's test your memory. No marking. Now hit the pause button and read the verse using the air blockers, and then play again and hear me chant it. Ishvarah Paramah Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindas Sarvakarana Karanam. I hope you did it right, but don't worry if you couldn't remember something. It takes some time and practice for things to sink in. Just before we stop, let me show you the case with another sibilant. We have already seen these mantras, but now you can see that you can pronounce the Visargas in these mantras in two ways. So I can either go with the option number 1 to silence the echo. Om Namah Shivaya Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Or I can turn the Visargas into Sh. For as you can see, we have the Sh in Shivaya, Sh in Sharanam, and Sh in Shanti. All are hissing sounds, sibilants. And therefore, we can pronounce these mantras as Om Namah Shivaya Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let's summarize the class with a few short examples. Tatah Kim and Hari Khalu. Which substitution do you think will happen in this situation? Yes, Tatah Kim and Hari Khalu. So the option will be to pronounce the Visarga as a strong guttural H sound. Next, Atah Param and Manah Prasada. What will be our option? Yes, Ataf Parang and Manaf Prasada, because the Visarga is followed by P sound. And finally, Manah Shariram Chatuh Shashtihi and Manah Sukham. And the substitution will be Manah Shariram Chatushashtihi and Manas Sukham. The Visarga will turn into the sibilant sound that follows it. Okay, wonderful. Visarga is an important sound, and it is all over the place. And so it is very good if you know all your options in different situations. This is our mind map for Visarga. We echo the Visarga if it is at the end of the second and fourth quarters of a verse, end of the mantra or a sutra. But if the location of Visarga is different, we can do a silent release, or we can substitute Visarga with air blockers if prompted by a specific consonant following the Visarga.